Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Live from Hollywood, Florida, my daughter's house. Today's daf is super easy. In fact, we're going to start off with 19 lines of Gemara that we learned yesterday as a Chazarah, and super easy. And you'll see, I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to calm you down that Arva is easy. It's actually super easy. Says the Gemara, Viki the Masni law. Everything we learned yesterday, Amasnisin. On our Mishnah, just we're going to switch the shitas of Rabbi Yochanan and Shlakish. You'll see what I'm talking about. In the Mishnah, it says that if you have the skin and gravy and we're going to see what kippah is, which is what happened to my. It's spices. They all combine with the food for tumah, for the kibetza of tumah that you need. We're talking about a bone here. So now there are bones that are shoymrim, there are protectors of the bone marrow, and there are bones that don't have marrow, but they act as a handle. So you know, we're talking about a shoymer, we're talking about a protector. Aval nima, but a hair, I have a shoymer. Here is not a protector. Rabbi Yochanan says it's the opposite of what we learned yesterday, but it's the same thing as we learned yesterday, the same ideas. The opposite shita. Rabbi Yochanan says afilu nima nami havi shoymer. Here is a protector. What about, if you remember, I'll just show you the video from yesterday. Here we have one guard on top of another guard from that video. In other words, or that mistake I did that I cut I didn't do it in the English here. I cut an onion in half. There's layers. That's shomer gavi shomer. We're talking about even without the layers, but yesterday we already discussed, where do you have a concept of a protector on top of a protector? If this is the hair, this is skin, and on top of the skin is hair. So you have hair and skin. So it's two protectors before you get to the meat. So says the Gemara, chalchule mechalchal. The hair, the follicle, the whatever you want to call it, goes through the skin and hits the meat. So we're not going to consider the skin, the hide, as part of the shomer. If that's the case, that the hair goes through and through and it creates like a hole, a literal hole. When we went to the hide factory and they were making hides for the Sefer Torah for tefillin, so they showed us how they remove the hair. You're removing the hair. Now, does it leave microscopic holes? When you write, you have to have a complete, undisturbed writing, and when you have small microscopic holes, that disturbs the writing. Says Gemara, you missed the whole point that they said in Eretz Yisrael, since the ink goes right over it and covers it and fills it up, not a problem. If the ink were to fall in there and leak out of there, that would be a problem. But it just, it goes right over. The cipher doesn't even feel it. It's all part of writing. Eisvei, Rabbi Yochanan Shlakish. So this is all word from word, like I said, almost 20 lines of what we had yesterday. You have a piece of hide that has one piece of meat on it. If you touch a little string of meat that comes out of it, or this is what's important to us, or a hair that's opposite the meat. In other words, the meat is on this side of the skin and the hair is on this side. They're opposite each other. So if you touch the hair, what happens? Tummy. My lab mishum shomer. We're talking about that it's actual shomer. And if it's a shomer, you see that here is a shomer. Lo mishum yad. Over there, we're talking about that the hair is actually a handle. You're going to lift up the skin by the hair, and it's acting as a handle, not as a protector. As the Gemara, but what can you do with one hair? When we're talking about the wheat, so here's wheat that has malai, it has the hair. So we're not talking about one hair, because if you pick it up by one hair, the whole wheat will fall off. So we're talking about many hairs that are attached to the wheat. So someone in the kollel went ahead and he did a little bit of a test to see if it were to fall out. It's holding one here, and it's not falling. Okay, the Gemara says it falls out. So, but if you hold a bunch of hairs, then great. So, we're talking about one hair between many hairs. Says where do we see this? These hairs that come out of the wheat, they give off tuma, they receive tuma, but they're not part of the wheat. As the Gemara over there, what can you do with one hair? It's talking about one of many. So too with hairs, one of many. So Kobe did some research, said that one hair could hold 100 grams. So if you take all your hairs from your head, it could hold a few ton. Says Gemara later, weiter. Okay, so up until now, was I being honest with you that it's easy? Same thing. Varoitev. We continue to be easy over here. Varoitev, the gravy. My roitev, omarova shumna. It's talking about the fat that flows to the top of when you make soup or whatever, the fat that comes to the top. A fat, it's edible. So why are you saying that it combines with food to become tummy? It itself is food and it's tummy. Says the Gemara, Elo, depends how you read it. In my Gemara it says chalav, the karish. In the article it says chalev. I think chalav is a little better maybe.
You say chalev
in your Gemara?
In the MDY.
Really? That's interesting. And he writes on the side, chalo. It's not chalev, it's more like, I'll explain to you what's going on here. When you cook meat, there's a certain, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a liquid, a condensation. Anyways, a liquid comes out of it. So it's not chalev, it's chalav. It's like a milk that comes out. The idea is that
we touch it congealed meat juice.
It's juice. It's not meat. It's juice. Okay. So whatever it is, however you want to read it.
It comes from the meat.
Yeah, it's meat juice. Fine. Yes. Sort of. Yeah. El chalav the karish. And it's also hard. And we're going to see why it's hard. It hardened. But it's not fat. It's juice. Juice is not fat. Juice is okay. It's the moisture that's in the meat. So the Gemara says, "My iri karish. Why are you talking about that it got congealed? Kila karish nami. It's still food. Domer shlokish. Tzir shalgabi yarak. If you have again like a juice, like something that's on top of a vegetable. Mitzdarv like a kiseves. There's a shear on Yom Kippur. How much you eat? Kiseves agasa. It's like one melay lugmav on one side of your mouth. So we call it a kiseves agasa, like a date. B'yom Kippurim. So now you have a half a date, 3/4 of a date, and a little bit of moisture. Is that enough to fill it? The answer is yes. Now there's a problem in Yom Kippur that you can't combine solids and liquids, but over here it's combined. The Gemara says, don't bring me a raya from over there that even though it's a liquid and it's not congealed, that it's considered oichel, it's considered food on Yom Kippur. Over there on Yom Kippur, what does it say in the pasuk? It says, Kichol hanefesh asher lo yisu'una be'etzem hayom hazeh v'nichur samamel. On Yom Kippur, the idea is to be in pain, to be mu'una, to be, how do you say mu'una in English? To be b'tzar. And since this little bit of moisture takes you away, it goes, geshmak. So that geshmak, satisfying? No. What? That's the opposite of, okay. I call upon him. So you have like a
the amount that is going to satisfy him.
Yeah, okay, I'll get to that in a second. So you have 99% of a kiseves agasa of a date, whatever is also to eat on Yom Kippur, plus the 1% of liquid, because that 1% of liquid gives you this So together with the date, it's a full share. The idea of Yom Kippur is to be b'tzar. We're talking about Yom Kippur now, beautiful. So over there by Yom Kippur, it's about inui. Over here, it's to combine, make a combination, to have enough If it's congealed, then it's considered food. Then it's not a food. Which we're going to see what's food, what's not food. If you take a salad and you make it a liquid, is it a food or not? Kippah, my kippah, Amarabba, firma. In Hebrew, this would go well. You have a kippah that has a firma. Firma means small pieces of meat. Same question I had before. If it's small pieces of meat, it itself should be tame because it's food. Elomar of papa tavlin, kippah means spices. Tanan awesome. Says on the side it's not a Mishnah. Okay. Hikpa es adam ba'achalei. You took blood and you congealed it. It's the exact opposite. You took this consistency and you made it a salad. Oh, so that's more like this. You take fat and you make it into a liquid. You liquefy it. Chayav. That's considered eating chaylev, which is also to eat. Chayav. Says Gemara, I understand if you take blood and you congeal it, well, you make it a salad that's showing that you're treating it as something important. You said, oh, I want this. You take oranges, you put in the freezer to make an ice. You made it chash. That's what you wanted. Elohim but the Gemara says, I don't understand. If you do this process, you take something salad and you make it into a liquid. It says to eat it, a food, a salad. That's not eating it, this is drinking it. You're right. It says the word nefesh. Or, since it's my favorite word, I'm going to say, says Gemara. But I like the word shaita. It's to include the shaita with the tough. No, it's a shaita. The person who drinks. So I want to show you this beautiful Rashi here. So Rashi says, Shkoch Kovi for putting this in for me, if I could get to it. Rabbi says shaita. Nefesh mashma kol davar miyash v'dayit shalada. What does nefesh mean? How do you see it? Because it calms the person down. V'afilu shaisa. Even the person who drinks not only eats, when you drink something after a fast, you go like this, you take a cup of water, It doesn't have to be a Danish, it could be also a cup of water, orange juice. Im yeshes nafshechem shiloshen tavo v'koras ruach. Im yeshes nafshechem, what's a nefesh? Taiva v'koras ruach. Sham nefesh nehena menu. That the why is it called that? Because the neshama, the nefesh enjoys it. So we have the same thing. We have chaylev. We just saw by chaylev this idea that liquefying chaylev is like a salad. The same halacha, Rabbi, I'm telling you, it's easy stuff. Same halacha by chametz. What happens if you take a matzah and you crush it into small pieces? You took matzah. You took something, you took a salad, and you liquefied it. Im chametzu, if you took pizza and you made it liquid, onish kares, and you eat it on Pesach, you get kares. In matzahi, but the opposite. If it's matzah, and you do what this gentleman did, you're not yoytza matzah on Pesach. Why? Why? Torah said you should eat the bread of poverty, of oidi. And this is not bread, this is liquid. Question is, if you do this to pizza, if you're not yoitza, the matzah, so you shouldn't be over on karas if you eat pizza. It says that you should eat it, and you're not over, you didn't eat it, it's liquid. So another source, we have chaylev, and now we have chametz. That if another word in the pasuk, nefesh, l'Rabbi says and Rashi says that nefesh means to satiate yourself, and the neshama, the nefesh. So third source is by the nevela of oif, just to show you real quickly. So for the new guys, there's a special halacha when it comes to a bird that you have to put it in your throat. Only then you're over on nevela. Only then is it a nevela and is matame you. Against with the plunger. Oh, great. If you liquefied it in the fire, tame, you still become tame if you drink it. B'chama, if you liquefied it in the sun, tar, you tar. Now, we asked the question, it's liquid, it's not achila. Nefesh. The rabbi says, we have 3 times that says nefesh, chelev, chometz, and the nevela of a bird. As the Gemara Yachid b'chamanami, so too, if you did it in the sun, it's liquid, it says nefesh. No, b'chami yisruchim masrach, it actually makes it disgusting to imagine something melting in the sun. So these are the 3 things Rabbi is saying. We have chelev, we have the bird, and we have chametz. We have the old man drinking. Okay, that's why I showed you the video. Says the Gemara, I need all 3 because of Rachmana Chelev. I only said the word Chelev. Now Gemara is going to do the classic, and we just had it the other day. Maybe I could learn 2 from 1. Just say it by Chelev, and I'll learn from the rest of the Torah. Just say it by the bird, I'll learn from the rest. No, you can't learn 2 from 1. So then the Gemara is going to ask, okay, so take 2 of them and learn the 3rd one from the 2. 2 is great, 2 is stronger. So let's do it together, all on a chart, all super, super simple. If the Torah would only say chelev. Here, did I go too fast? Yeah, no. If it only said chelev on top, and I'll try to learn the oif, the bird, and the chametz from it, that what? If they're liquid, it's considered salad. Chametz le'yasimine, I cannot learn chametz from it. Why? Because the chelev was born like that. So I can't learn chametz. Chametz was once mutter to eat before Bezach. Nevela yasmine. And why can't I learn nevela from it? Shekain onish kares. Oh, this is messed up. No, the opposite. No. The chelev is onish kares. Kobe, if you could switch the ein shas kosher and onish kares, then it'll be good.
Doesn't the chametz have a shas kosher?
Chametz has shas. No, the chelev doesn't have shas kosher. Hold on a second. Let's see again. Before you switch it, he's writing to me something.
Chelev is ein shas kosher.
Hold on. Right, chelev, but he didn't put it. He didn't put it on there. It's not on top, it's on the bottom. Chelev. Chelev doesn't have shas kosher. Correct. Nevela, lo yasmine. Nevela should be learned from chelev. You can't do that. Shekain onush kares. The chelev has kares. So, it has both. So, Kobe, maybe just put it higher up. Put it ein shas kosher next to chelev, and put onush kares next to chelev. Because Rachmana chametz. Now we're going to go weiter. Hold on, Kobe. I gotta keep on going. If it just says chametz, and you're gonna learn the 2 things from it, shekain onush kares. Because chametz has kares. Let's say you did it. Onush kares. Okay. So you put it over there. Because Rachmana b'nevela, and if it only said by nevela, hanach le'asimine, the 2 others you can't learn from nevela. Shekain mitamo. Okay, the nevela of the oif gives off toma, so it's stronger, so you can't learn anything from it. We just learned that you can't learn 1 from 1. So let's do this. 2 on the top, and I'm going to learn 1 on the bottom. The 2 are going to teach us, and we're going to learn 1. Hey, Taisa, which one? Don't say nevela, and we'll learn from the 2 top. They both have kares. I guess he's putting it underneath it. It's not so clear to me, but he put it underneath instead of on the side. Learn chametz from the other 2. Chametz had a shas kosher. The other 2 never had a shas kosher. Chametz was once mutter. Super, super easy. Come on, you're asking me, right? Finally, let's learn chelev from the other 2. They never have something that's mutter. Chelev sometimes is mutter. What is chelev? Mutter, Rabbi says, the Gemara is going to discuss, but basically by a chaya. When you have a wild animal, that's mutter. You're going to talk about the fat of a cow, of a goat. That sometimes it's mutter when you put it on the mizbeach. Sometimes the dead carcass of a bird is mutter when you put your thumb right through the neck. That's called malika. Let me show you how it's done real quickly, if I can find that fast. Here we go, malika. Puts his nail right through the back of the neck. That would create a nevela in private property, private citizens. But in the Beis Hamikdash, that works. So you see that there's a heter to a nevela, so to speak. Velo. So you want to say chaylev chayil lahadit. The fat of a deer is sometimes mutter. Is always mutter. So sometimes fat is mutter. Nevela nami yishir malika the chatasoif l'kahanim. Nevela is also mutter to do a malika by the chatasoif by a kohen. So that's mutter to eat. So no, we are talking about the fat of a chaya for a private citizen. Well, kohanim could do malika. It's not considered hutam machlali because it comes really from the mizbeach. They eat off Hashem. We learn by Shratzim, it says hatmeim extra hay. Less are to say tziram, v'ratom, v'kipa shalem, all the juicy stuff that comes out, not just the meat, is also asur of a sheretz. Lomali, why do you need it? Ligmar mahani. We should learn from what we just said from these three, from the chaylev, the chametz, and the nevela. And I should learn that the juices of a sheretz are like salad. Says Gemara, no, tzricha need a special pasuk by sheretz. Like kasav rachmana havamina, dayalovim minadin liskinidan. You can only go as far as what these three things that we just learned. Ma'azam just like. By these three things, you need by chaylev and nevela and chametz, you need a gezayis. So too, avachanami you need gezayis. I'll think by sheretz you need gezayis because you can't do better than what you're learning from. But the fact is that a sheretz is only kahadash. Daf kuf chav amid beis says Gemara. As the Gemara, let's just learn out of shrotzim. Why do I need the three psukim over here? I have the shmona shrotzim, and let's learn the nevela of daif, the chaylev and the chametz from shrotzim. Says the Gemara, you can't learn anything from a sheretz because the sheretz, it's matama. How much avi is the tum of a sheretz? Kadasho. I tevel. You didn't give trumas and meisers. Ve'chodosh, the new grain. Ve'hegdish, you made something hegdish. Ve'ashvius, fruit from shmita. Ve'aklayin, you have kerem. You have a vineyard that has wheat that grew there. Kula mashkin yezim kemoisam. The halacha is that liquids are like salads, and they're also minal. And how do I know it? And if I'll say just learn from these three, Rashi says it over here. Only chaylev and these three. Let's go back here. These three. These three are different. Why? Because the Isra happened by itself. Chametz, Pesach comes along. You didn't have to do anything. Nevela, chaylev. That's great when the Isra comes by itself. But in the list that you mentioned, there's one thing called hegdish. Hegdish is a human being decides that this animal is going to be hegdish. So heicha, the lavis abamelav didn't come on its own. You did it. Minolan, how do I know that the liquids are like a salad? Says Gemara. Gamrinam, because we learned from Bikurim. What's Bikurim? If you have brand new fruit, what? Parsha. This week's parsha, that's right. Those of us who went to shul know. Asher tavim artzecha, asher Hashem lekecha noisim lecha v'sam tabatena. So Gemara says we're learning from Bikurim that you bring your first. Here, there's even two birds. He says these are the words that we're looking. Kriya, very good. And Hanocha, putting it down on the ground. Thank you so much, Yoshi, for adding those two things. Kriya and Hanocha. So we're going to learn from Bikurim. That what? It doesn't come by itself. You bring it. You decide which one is Bikurim. So it's like Hegdish. Ubikurim gufayim and all. How do you know that liquids are like salads? Bikurim the Tanur B'Yosi. Priatamevi, viatamevi mashki. You shouldn't bring liquids. Hevi anovim. But what if you brought the grapes to the Beis Hamikdash? Udracham in the Azara, as you brought it, you stepped on them and you made them into liquids. Talmud Leiber Tavi the Yaitza. Mamish Tavi is in today's parsha. You can't prove anything from Bikurim because they have two special things: reading and placing it on the floor. Ela gomer metruma, that what? That the liquid is also. You learn from truma. Truma gufa menolan. How do you know truma? The iskash the bikurim, because it's interesting. Bikurim we're not going to learn from, but truma we are going to learn from. And how do you know truma? From bikurim. It says bikurim and it calls it truma. So you see, bikurim and truma are the same. Rabbi say, just remember that bikurim and truma are the same. We learn truma from bikurim. Mali truma, but wait a minute. Sheken chayom aleh misa. You get misa b'dei shomayim if you eat truma. You're not supposed to. V'choymesh, if you do it on purpose, you get misa. And if you do it by accident, you have to bring a fifth, which is a fourth. Ela gomer return value. We're going to learn a little bit. We're going to learn a combination of both, from truma and bikurim. Let's see if he has anything. Oh, he does. Geshmak. Bikurim. No, not yet. That's later. We can leave it on. No, show it up. As we said a second ago, both truma and bikurim, if you eat them on purpose and you're not a kohen, you get misa b'dei shomayim. If you eat them by accident, it's a shaygin. You have to pay a chaymish. Oh, now I want this. I want to bring truma and let's say, the wrong one. Let's see if he has something else. Kobe, take out the chometz and put it instead the chaylev or nevela, one of those two. Because according to Rashi, it's only those two. According to Taisus, chometz works, but why jump into Taisus when we have Rashi? Truma b'chad mehanoch, oimi bikurim b'chad mehanoch, or bikurim and nevela. Should we stop here? Let's stop over here so I don't miss my flight. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day. See you in Eretz Yisrael.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDY.com.